Lyre of the Lion by TheNightNinja2. Chapter 1. Child of the Candle, Daughter of Magic. Ulieta swore there were 3 missing bottles of wine. Had Peppa and Felix taken them? She knew Camila was the result of a missing bottle in the past, but 3 bottles? And Peppa didn't seem hungover at breakfast. Ulieta shrugged it off and chalked it up to the stress of last night and a miscount of how many she had had. Walking past Isabella's room, she heard the sound of her 2 daughters laughing. There were vines growing out of the cracks between the door and frame, and, on closer inspection, proved to be vines of pumpkin vines. Then there was a small explosion from inside the room, and Isa shouting, "Duck!" Ulieta threw the door open, only to be almost assaulted by a giant saguaro cactus. Her daughter's room had become an untamed jungle overnight, full of pointy things on carnivorous plants as tall as herself. The girl in question was swinging from a vine, yelling like a maniac at the top of her lungs, and Mirabel was on Isa's bed, laughing. Out of the corner of her eye, Ulieta saw a bright light. The candle was burning brighter than she had ever seen it, and the cracks were disappearing. Suddenly there was a shout, "What is going on?" Ulieta jumped at the sound of her mother's shout behind her. "Mirabel! What is this? What have you done to your sister?" shouted Abuela. "Mama, they're having fun, and they're staying in Isabella's room. It's not like the town is covered in cacti," reasoned Ulieta. "I don't care that it is contained. It should not be happening in the first place. Isabella's dress is destroyed. Her gift is out of control. All because of Mirabel!" exclaimed Abuela. Mirabel quickly strolled through the chaos and caught the startled Isabella as she fell from the vine that had disappeared with her surprise. Mirabel stood tall. She knew the rest of the family was downstairs. Easy for Casita to get out of danger. "Isa, go to Luisa. This might get ugly," said Mirabel calmly. The cracks that had vanished earlier were suddenly back and larger. Isa saw the look in her sister's eyes and did what she was told. "Casita, get all of us out of here," said Mirabel calmly. She rode the tile wave that pushed her down the stairs and out of the door. Abuela fought it. Antonio noticed the look in his mother's eyes and knew what was going to happen. The animals had received a warning the night before from a rat that the collapse of the magic was imminent and to get the hell out of that room. Once outside, the cracks began to grow. "I know you were warned, yet you still have kept your eyes shut. You plead for Abuelo to open your eyes, but how can he when you have sewn them shut? The cracks are your fault. You have abused the miracle and drained your family of its life and happiness." "Well, I am here, Alma, the seam ripper," said Mirabel in a dangerously calm voice. "How dare!" started Abuela. Mirabel seemed to grow in stature suddenly, the wind whipping her unbound hair. "No, Alma. How dare you? The cracks are because of you. Your miracle is dying because of you," said Mirabel. The cracking from the house got worse. The valley began to shake, and the mountains began to split. "Open your eyes, Alma. No one is perfect, despite how much you want them to be," said Mirabel firmly. The entire town saw what was happening. Mirabel looked as though she was on fire from the magic surrounding her. A crown flashed into existence on her head. "The second miracle," whispered Abuela, horrified. Mirabel heard it. Then everything clicked. Who she was, why she was here, and above all, what she was. "I am Mirabel Pevensey, Princess of Narnia, Lady of Beruna, Heart of Cair Paravel, Bard of the most noble order of the Lion, Daughter of Magic," said Mirabel in an echoing voice, the roar of a lion in the air around her. She held up her hand, and a fading golden glow entered her palm from the crumbling house. "Your gifts will return to you when all is fixed and eyes are opened," said Mirabel, her voice still echoing with magic. "What have you done?" screeched Alma. Mirabel turned to face her. "You personally need to earn back your miracle. Pedro did not die so that his wife could hurt his children and grandchildren," said Mirabel, her eyes glowing gold. "Mirabel, does this mean you have a gift?" asked Julieta. "I am the daughter of magic itself, both here and in Narnia. Louisa, my dear sister, your love of fantasy and reading let you see the truth long before I thought to tell you. As my sister, you are a Duchess of Narnia. As the Duchess, I would ask you to kindly explain to everyone else about Narnia. Mariano will help you, but now is not the time. I did not receive a gift because I was the gift. The child of the candle. Part of its magic is in me," said Mirabel. "Then rebuild the house," demanded Abuela. "A new foundation of understanding and love must be built before I return the magic," said Mirabel. "We do need a proper house, though," said Isabella. "Then build it," said Mirabel. The whole town was coming up the street with tools. Mirabel greeted them all with open arms. "The Madrigals need to relearn what a family is. Can you all teach them?" asked Mirabel. "Of course, Your Majesty," said Mariano, bowing. "Rise, Lord Mariano. I have a special task for you," said Mirabel. "Of course, my princess," said Mariano. "Dolores, come here, please," said Mirabel. Dolores stepped forward. "Lord Mariano, while I rejected your offer of courtship, I recall telling you that you could become part of the Madrigal family. Spend time with Dolores, and both of your dreams will come true," said Mirabel. Dolores blushed under Mariano's gaze. "You can all stay at our house until Casita is rebuilt," said Senora Guzman. "Alma needs to stay in the church. Perhaps reading the words of Dios will humble her," said Mariano, firmly. It was almost noon by this point, and while the women of the family left to see the sleeping arrangements at the Goodmans, the men stayed behind to look through the rubble for anything that may have survived. Mirabel suddenly caught a glimpse of money changing hands, and looked puzzled. "There's been a running bet about if you actually had magic or not," explained Mariano, as a large amount of money was handed to him. Mirabel just shook her head. The glow around her was fading with her anger, and she suddenly felt exhausted. Antonio saw how sleepy his mama looked, and helped her sit on a rock. Augustine found quite a few of his daughter's belongings, mostly her dresses and cloak, and a few of her sewing things. "Louisa, what is this Narnia place?" asked Peppa. "A month after Mirabel's ceremony, she went to hide from Abuela in her wardrobe. For some reason, it went back really far, and she found herself in another world called Narnia. 4 people adopted her as their little sister, and fought a war for Narnia's freedom against an evil witch. She wasn't in the battle, though. She was safe. After the war, the 4 siblings were crowned kings and queens, and Mirabel was named princess. Their rule lasted 15 years, until one day they were on horseback chasing a magic stag. They then all found themselves back in their own worlds as if they had never left. Mirabel went from 20 years old to 5 in an instant, but was able to keep all her skills and memories. She's mentally 30, and since her siblings in Narnia spoke English, she was taught it and so many other things. If you remember how mature she was acting all of a sudden, and how she could do things that most people twice her age couldn't, it was because she grew up in Narnia."
She was given a magical item as a gift there. All but one of them was. She told me hers was a magic lyre, like a mini handheld arpa. When she played it, her allies would be filled with hope and strength, while her enemies would only hear the beat of an executioner's drum and the tolling of funeral bells, filling them with dread and fear. She grew up loved and respected. The 4 kings and queens had the last name Pevensey, so she took that, renouncing the Madrigal name. I figured out pretty quickly that she had been to another world, but she told me all the details, said Louisa.
But what about Mariano and Antonio? How do they fit into this? Asked Julieta.
Remember the small blip at Antonio's ceremony? Well, the 3 of them were called to Narnia. I'm assuming it was from her sister Susan's magic horn. That could call help to you from anywhere. The 4 siblings and Mirabel, Antonio and Mariano must have been called into Narnia for some reason, said Louisa.
Those paintings in the nursery? Said Peppa.
All places and things of Narnia. Cair Paravel was the castle she lived in and ruled from. Lantern Waste was where she came into and left Narnia the first time. The view from Baruna was her view of Cair Paravel during the Battle of Baruna,
said Louisa. And the lion? Asked Julieta.
Aslan, the son of the great emperor beyond the sea. Call me crazy, but I think Aslan and Jesus might be the same person. He allowed Mirabel to keep her skills and memories of Narnia, even here in the Encanto, said Louisa.
Mirabel met the Son of God? Asked Peppa.
Or at least a representation of him from a world not our own, said Louisa.
That roaring lion we heard as Mirabel spoke, gasped Julieta. Louisa nodded. Do I have to curtsy to my own Sabrina? Groaned Peppa.
Louisa laughed. Don't worry about that too much. She's never made me curtsy to her, said Louisa.
End of chapter. Hi guys, hope you enjoyed that one. Okay, blowout. I liked how Julieta tried to shield Mirabel a little bit from that scolding. But oh my god, her glowing with the crown and the roar and her being so deathly calm. Mariano bowing to her, like recognizing her true title. And that little bit with Peppa asking if she has to curtsy. God, I love this chapter. Anyway, you guys know the drill. Like, comment and subscribe and hit that bell to get notified for whenever I upload a new video. Have a good day, night or whatever time zone you're in. Bye my guys, gals and non-binary pals. I'll see you in another video. Take care. Bye.